Hello, Miss Capulet, Mr. Montague. How are y'all doing today? Can I get you any coffee before we begin? Why, no, ma'am. I'm just fine, but thank you very much. Coffee? Do you know how much carbs there are? And that will stain my teeth. I just went to my dentist yesterday, okay? Do you see how white my teeth are? I'm not gonna get any coffee. No, thank you. Oh, I understand. I've been trying to go on the diet myself. Alright, so did either of you have any trouble finding the office with the directions that I gave you? Why, no, ma'am. I found it just well with all the directions you gave me. Thank you very much. Much obliged by that. Well, my Lyft driver was, talking about all the stuff that was going on in his personal life, and it was, so annoying. But, yeah, I mean, I got here, so, yeah. Alright, well, let's get started, shall we? Good evening, everyone. My name is Jordan Elizabeth Coombs, and I'm going to be your mediator today, but you can just call me Elizabeth. So, wait, what may I refer to you as, Mr. Montague? Ma'am, you can just call me Romeo. That works just fine. Juliet works just fine. Alright, so before we begin, I need to remind everybody that I'm not a judge, and I'm not going to be giving my opinions, any kind of legal advice, or any predictions on the outcome of the case if it were to go to court. So, with that being said, I will listen to both of you, and my role as mediator is just to facilitate the communication between the two of you. I'm not here to evaluate your case, but rather to help you two find something that will be beneficial for the both of you. Now, one thing that we need to know before we begin is the promise of confidentiality. As a mediator, I will not repeat anything that I hear outside of this room, and I will not testify in court about any matters regarding this case. However, there is an exception. If I hear anyone say that they plan to hurt himself or herself, or somebody else, or threaten to damage property, then that I am going to be required to talk about, and I will testify about that. However, this is the only exception, and for everything else, the promise of confidentiality is still in place. And because of this, I'm going to ask everyone to destroy their notes at the end of the session, because anything that is said in here today cannot be used in any subsequent court proceedings if you don't settle. The only papers that are going to be retained is the settlement agreement, if we come to one today, and the small claims referral that was filled out in order to get this case into mediation today. Now, do either of you have any questions about the confidentiality or anything that I've said so far? Now, we are going to begin by giving you each a chance to explain your perspective of the events. This is going to be uninterrupted time. So, if the other party is speaking and you think of something that you want to say, you can simply write it down with the piece of paper and the pen that I have given each of you. So, whenever we are done speaking, we will discuss the situation. We're going to see if we can resolve any of the issues, clarify anything that might need clarification, and we're going to try to agree on something that will be mutually beneficial for the both of you at the end of this. Does that sound alright? Yes, ma'am, that sounds quite alright to me. Well, I mean, I guess. Yeah. Okay, that's good. Now, one more thing to say. I might decide to speak to both of you just one-on-one individually at some point during this mediation. And if I do that, it is called a caucus. And during the caucus, that has an extra layer of confidentiality, because anything that you say to me during the caucus is not going to be told to the other party unless you give me express permission to do so. And I'm also not likely to say anything at all. Then I myself like to encourage you each to be able to communicate with each other rather than me passing along messages. Now, can I answer any questions about this process or about the caucus? No, ma'am, I ain't got no questions about anything you said so far. No, I think I get it. Alright, well, I don't have any ground rules for this session. but a lot of people like to add ground rules whenever they're about to have a session, with one of the most popular examples being no cursing. So, would either of you like to add any ground rules to this discussion before we begin? Yes, Mr. Montague. Well, ma'am, I think what you said about that no cursing, that's a good idea. I think that we should definitely have a no cursing rule. Yeah, I agree. Nothing else other than no cursing. That's my only one. I don't want to make sure he doesn't curse. All right, that sounds good. Are there any other ground rules that we can add before we begin? No, ma'am. I think that no cursing rule, I think that'd be it. Alright, so now that everything has been discussed and we've laid the groundwork and all of the basic terms and the confidentiality promise have been discussed, do I have your consent to start this mediation? Romeo? Why, yes, you do have my consent to start this mediation. And for you, Juliet? Yeah, sure, whatever. Alright, let's get started then. So, I'd like to remind everyone that if you have any thoughts when the other party is speaking, please write it down on the piece of paper and the pen, and we're going to come back and we'll address any thoughts that you have, just not during these two opening statements. This is because I like to give you each time to talk through everything uninterrupted, at least for this very first opening statement, and then everything, I promise, will be addressed after this. Now, traditionally, I always like to let the initiating party begin. So, Juliet, would you like to tell me what happened?